My friend, have you ever found yourself awake in the stillness of the night between the hours of 3 and 5 a.m.? The world sleeps, but you are stirred, your soul restless. Could it be by accident? Or is it a calling, a summons, a whisper from eternity itself? In the scriptures, we see that God speaks in the silence in the secret hours before the dawn. It was in the early watches of the night that Samuel heard his name called, that the prophets received visions, that Yeshua himself went away to pray. And now you are being awakened. But why, and what should you do? Tonight we unlock the mystery. If you wake up between 3 and 5 a.m., do not dismiss it as chance. Do not roll over and return to sleep. For these are the hours of destiny, the moments of divine encounter. And if you do these three things, you may just find yourself stepping into the very purpose for which you were created. Are you ready? Then let us begin. There are moments in life when something beyond the natural realm calls out to us, beckoning us to awaken from the slumber of routine and comfort. You may think it is just another restless night, another inconvenience stirring in the quiet hours of the morning. But what if it is something more? What if the very act of waking up at this particular time between 3 and 5 is not a mere accident but a divine appointment? What if the reason you are awake is because heaven itself is calling you? Throughout the scriptures and throughout history, we see that significant moments of divine encounter often take place in the early hours of the morning. It was in the night watches that God spoke to Samuel, calling him by name. It was before dawn that Jesus withdrew to pray, seeking communion with the Father in the silence of the world. It was in the stillness of the night that Jacob wrestled with God and received his new name, Yezreel. There is something about these hours that transcend the ordinary. They are set apart, sacred, filled with a presence unseen yet deeply felt. You may have experienced it before, the sudden awakening, the inexplicable urge to open your eyes, to rise from your bed, even when your body longs for sleep. You glance at the clock, and there it is again, 3:15 a.m., 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. It happens too often to be a coincidence. Something is stirring in your spirit. The question is, will you recognize it, or will you dismiss it, rolling over and returning to the comfort of sleep? The enemy would want you to ignore it. He would want you to stay in your slumber, unaware that something greater is happening. Because the moment you recognize that these wake-ups are not just random interruptions, but divine invitations, everything changes. You shift from seeing it as an inconvenience to seeing it as a calling. You realize that you are being given an opportunity, a window into the supernatural. The early hours of the morning carry a mystery, a weight, a depth that cannot be found in the busyness of the day. It is a time when distractions fade, when the noise of the world is silenced, and when the voice of God can be heard with clarity. Think about it. During the day, your mind is occupied work, responsibilities, emails, conversations, worries, plans. But in the pre-dawn hours, all of that fades away. The world is still. The distractions are minimal. It is in these moments that the Spirit speaks, that whispers of revelation can be heard. The question is, are you listening? The awakening between 3 and 5 a.m. is not merely physical, it is spiritual. It is a call to rise above the ordinary, to step into the extraordinary, to seek something deeper. There is a reason why in many spiritual traditions these hours are considered sacred. In Jewish thought, this time is known as the fourth watch, the time when the veil between heaven and earth is thinnest. In Christian history, many of the great saints and revivalists would wake at this hour to pray, to intercede, to seek the face of God. Why? Because they understood that this was not just another hour of the day, it was a portal into something greater. But here's the challenge: most people don't recognize it. They miss it. They ignore it. They assume they simply woke up for no reason and go back to sleep, unaware that they just missed the divine invitation. You see, recognizing the calling is the first step, but it requires sensitivity. It requires a heart that is open, ears that are attuned to the whispers of the divine. It requires the willingness to say, Lord, here I am. Many of the greatest breakthroughs in history happened in the early morning hours. Battles were won, prayers were answered, destinies were shaped. It was in the darkness of the morning that Jesus walked on water toward his disciples, revealing his divinity in the midst of the storm. It was before the dawn that the resurrection power of God was revealed as the tomb was found empty. There is something about these hours that hold the weight of the supernatural. Perhaps the reason you keep waking up between 3 and 5 a.m. is because your spirit is being awakened to something greater. Maybe you are being called to pray for someone. Maybe God is trying to give you a vision, a dream, a strategy that will shift the course of your life. Maybe there is something you need to release, something you need to receive. But you will never know unless you recognize the calling and respond to it. So the next time you find yourself awake in these hours, do not dismiss it. Do not assume it is random. Instead, pause. Be still. Ask yourself, why am I awake? What is stirring within me? What is God trying to show me? Because once you recognize the calling, once you acknowledge this moment is not ordinary but extraordinary, you step into a realm where miracles happen, where destinies are revealed, where lives are transformed. You have been awakened for a reason. Recognize it. When you wake up between the hours of 3 and 5 a.m., there is a moment of decision. It is not just about waking up physically, but spiritually. It is not simply an interruption of sleep, but an invitation to encounter something beyond the natural realm. If you do not engage in prayer and meditation in these moments, you may miss the very reason you have been awakened. These hours carry a sacred weight, a divine significance, a calling that is often overlooked by those who do not understand. Throughout history, the early hours of the morning have been known as a time of deep spiritual activity. It is during these hours that the world is at its quietest, the distractions of life are at their lowest, and the veil between the physical and the spiritual feels thinner. This is why those who seek divine wisdom, those who long for deeper encounters, have always turned to these hours to engage in prayer. In the scriptures, we see that Jesus himself often withdrew before the dawn, away from the crowds, away from the demands of the world, to spend time in prayer. He understood something that many fail to recognize, that there is power in seeking God in the stillness of the night. When you wake up at these hours, your spirit is being stirred. There is something within you that is longing for connection, for revelation, for clarity. It is not merely a biological phenomenon. It is a spiritual prompting, a divine nudge, an opportunity to step into a realm of deeper communion with the Creator. But what do most people do? They roll over, they fight to go back to sleep, they ignore the stirring within them. And in doing so, they miss the very breakthrough that could have been waiting for them in that moment. To engage in prayer and meditation at this hour is to align yourself with the divine frequency of heaven. It is to open your heart, your mind, and your spirit to receive what is being spoken in the silence. Prayer is not just about speaking, it is about listening. It is not just about asking, it is about receiving. And in the early hours of the morning, when the noise of the world is silenced, you have the greatest opportunity to hear with clarity. Think about how much of your day is filled with noise, conversations, notifications, responsibilities, endless distractions that pull your mind in 100 different directions. But in these sacred hours, none of that exists. The world is quiet. The distractions are minimal. It is in this silence that prayer becomes most powerful. It is in this stillness that meditation allows you to receive divine wisdom. When you wake up, your first instinct might be to question why. You might feel tired, confused, uncertain about what to do next. But instead of resisting it, lean into it. Close your eyes, but not in sleep and awareness. Focus on your breath, on the stillness around you, on the presence of something greater than yourself. Begin with gratitude. Before asking for anything, before seeking answers, simply acknowledge the presence of the divine. Thank God for the breath in your lungs, for the opportunity to be awake, for the ability to connect in this moment. Gratitude shifts the atmosphere, prepares your heart to receive. Then, as you settle into this state of awareness, begin to pray. Speak from your heart. There is no formula, no script you need to follow. Just open your soul and communicate. Maybe there is something weighing on you, something unresolved, something that has been pressing on your spirit. This is the time to lay it before God. Maybe there is someone you need to pray for, someone who has been placed on your heart. This is the time to intercede. Maybe you do not even know what to pray for. This is the time to simply be still and let the Spirit intercede for you. The power of prayer in these hours is not just about what you say, it is about the connection it creates. It is about aligning your will with the divine will. It is about opening yourself up to receive insight, direction, and peace. There are answers that can only come in the quiet, revelations that can only be received in stillness. The more you engage in prayer at this hour, the more you will begin to notice a shift in your spirit. You will begin to hear more clearly, to see with greater vision, to walk with deeper purpose. But prayer is only one side of the conversation. Meditation is just as important. If prayer is speaking to God, meditation is listening. It is creating space to receive. Too often people pray and then immediately move on, never pausing long enough to hear the response. Imagine having a conversation with someone where you do all the talking and never stop to listen. That is how many approach prayer. They ask, they seek, they pour out their concerns, but they never wait to receive the wisdom, the guidance, the comfort that is waiting on the other side. Meditation is about stillness. It is about quieting the mind, removing distractions, and allowing yourself to become fully present. It is in this state of stillness that clarity comes. Maybe there is a decision you have been struggling with, a path you are unsure about, a burden that feels too heavy to carry. In the quiet of meditation, answers begin to emerge, ideas begin to flow, peace begins to settle over your spirit. There is a reason why so many of the great spiritual leaders throughout history have emphasized the importance of solitude, of silence, of early morning reflection. There is a reason why monks, mystics, and prophets have always sought out the stillness of the morning to engage with the divine. It is because they understood that revelation does not come in the chaos, it comes in the quiet. Breakthrough does not happen in the noise, it happens in the stillness. The greatest encounters are not found in the rush of the day, but in the depths of the early morning. So when you find yourself awake at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., do not resist it. Do not see it as an inconvenience. See it as an invitation. See it as an opportunity to engage in a practice that has shaped the lives of the most powerful spiritual figures throughout history. See it as a moment where heaven is drawing near, where mysteries are being revealed, where your soul is being aligned with something greater than yourself. There will be times when your mind resists, when you feel too tired, when you question whether it is worth it. But the more you engage in prayer and meditation at this hour, the more you will begin to see its effects in your life. You will begin to notice that your days are filled with greater peace, that your decisions are guided with greater wisdom, that your spirit feels more connected and attuned to divine direction. This is not just about waking up, it is about awakening. It is about stepping into a deeper level of awareness, a greater sense of purpose, a stronger connection to the presence of God. It is about making the choice in these sacred hours to tune out the world and tune into the frequency of heaven. It is about allowing yourself to be led, to be filled, to be transformed. Because when you engage in prayer and meditation at this hour, you are not just changing your morning, you are changing your life. There comes a moment in life when you must decide whether you will remain where you are or step into the fullness of what you were created to be. Waking up between the hours of 3 and 5 a.m. is not just about the physical act of rising from sleep, it is about stepping into something greater. It is a call to activate your purpose, to move beyond the limitations of routine and comfort, and to embrace the destiny that has been waiting for you all along. Too many people go through life asleep, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. They go through the motions, doing what they have always done, never stopping to ask if they are truly walking in the purpose they were designed for. But when you find yourself awake in these sacred hours, something within you is stirring. It is an invitation to rise, to move, to shift into alignment with your divine assignment. Purpose is not something you stumble upon by accident. It is something you step into with intention. You were created for something greater than mere existence. There is a reason you are here, a reason your heart beats, a reason your soul longs for more. Deep down, you know this. There is a vision inside you, a dream that refuses to be silenced, a calling that tugs at your spirit. Yet so often people ignore it. They allow fear, doubt, and distraction to keep them from taking action. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect conditions before they step forward. But the truth is, the perfect moment is now. The fact that you are waking up at these hours is a sign that something is shifting, that you are being called to move, that it is time to take action. Activation is about movement. It is about stepping beyond thought and into action. It is not enough to know that you have a purpose, you must live it. It is not enough to have a dream, you must build it. It is not enough to receive a vision, you must walk in it. This is where most people get stuck. They know they are meant for more, but they do not take the steps necessary to walk into it. They hesitate, they delay, they overthink. But purpose is not activated in hesitation, it is activated in action. The early hours of the morning are a gift of time when the world is quiet, when your mind is clear, when your spirit is most receptive. If you waste these hours, you waste an opportunity to step into something greater. But if you use them with intention, they can become the most powerful moments of your day, the moments where you lay the foundation for the future you were meant to build. This is the time to plan, to create, to strategize, to take action on the things you have been called to do. If you are an artist, write. If you are a visionary, plan. If you are a leader, develop. If you are an entrepreneur, strategize. Whatever it is that has been placed inside you, this is the time to cultivate it. Discipline is the key to activation. Many people have dreams, but few have the discipline to turn those dreams into reality. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not talent, luck, or resources, it is discipline. It is the ability to take consistent action even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is inconvenient. This is why waking up between 3 and 5 a.m. is so significant. It is not an easy time to be awake. It requires effort, intention, a willingness to push beyond what is comfortable. But that is precisely why it is so powerful. Growth does not happen in comfort. Purpose is not activated in convenience. If you can master these early hours, if you can use them with discipline and focus, you will set yourself apart. You will begin to move in a way that others do not. You will begin to operate on a level that most people never reach. Every great movement, every great breakthrough, every great transformation begins with a moment of decision. A moment where you choose to stop waiting and start moving. A moment where you refuse to let fear hold you back. A moment where you step forward, not because you have all the answers, but because you know that staying where you are is no longer an option. This is what activation looks like. It is not about knowing every step ahead of time. It is about taking the first step in faith. It is about trusting that as you move forward, the path will become clear. One of the greatest lies people believe is that they are not ready. They tell themselves they need more time, more resources, more knowledge before they can begin. But readiness is not something you wait for, it is something you step into. You do not become ready by standing still, you become ready by moving forward. There will never be a moment when everything is perfectly aligned, when all the conditions are exactly as you want them to be. The key is to begin anyway, to take action in the midst of uncertainty, to move forward even when you do not feel fully prepared. Because the truth is, no one ever feels fully prepared. Every great leader, every great innovator, every great world changer began with uncertainty. The difference is they did not let that uncertainty stop them. They took action despite it. And that is what you must do. The fact that you keep waking up at these hours is a sign that you are being called to something more. You may not fully understand it yet, but that does not mean you should ignore it. Lean into it. Pay attention to the thoughts, the ideas, the inspiration that comes to you in these hours. Write them down. Act on them. Use this time to do the things you have been putting off. If there is something you've been called to build, start now. If there is a habit you need to develop, start now. If there is a step you need to take it now. Because purpose is not something that happens someday. It is something that happens the moment you decide to activate. Excuses will always be there if you allow them to be. Fear will always whisper reasons to delay. But if you are serious about walking in your purpose, you cannot afford to let fear dictate your actions. You must choose to move, even when it is uncomfortable. You must choose to act, even when it is uncertain. You must choose to step forward, even when you do not feel fully prepared. That is what separates those who fulfill their purposes from those who only dream about it. There will be resistance. Every time you step into something greater, there is resistance. The moment you decide to move forward, obstacles will arise, distractions will increase, doubts will creep in. But this is the test. Will you allow resistance to stop you? Or will you push through? Will you retreat to the comfort of what is familiar? Or will you step into the unknown, trusting that what is ahead is greater than what is behind? The early hours of the morning are a battleground. It is in these hours that decisions are made, that destinies are shaped, that purposes are activated. It is in these hours that you either choose to remain as you are or step into the fullness of who you were created to be. There is something inside you that is waiting to be unleashed, a potential that has not yet been fully realized. You feel it, you know it, and now you have been given the opportunity to do something about it. You cannot afford to waste these moments. You cannot afford to ignore the stirring in your spirit. This is the time to rise. This is the time to move. This is the time to activate the purpose that has been inside you all along.